Welcome to another episode. With me today is Scott Hammer from Striven. Welcome, Scott.
Hey, Brian, thanks for having me.
So I know you're the sales and marketing director there, but if you could tell our listeners a little bit about your journey, that would help them get a context for the conversation we're about to have.
Sure. Unlike maybe a lot of other people in my space, I didn't start in technology. I started in education. So first 12 years of my career, I taught high school, taught English, which was really fun. I really enjoyed it. I was good at it. And it taught me, I think, everything I know about being a professional, how to manage other people, how to work with really diverse groups of people, how to get great work out of other people. And though I was really passionate about that career, I thought about it and came to a place where I said, I'm either going to do this for 30 more years or I'm going to see if I can do something else. And the idea of trying something new, of challenging myself, and in another way, not teaching the same book for the 13th year in a row or 30th year in a row, was really interesting to me. So my father had a PR and advertising agency, and so I'd always been a bit adjacent to that world. So I started a new career, built my portfolio in the last year of teaching. I was working with a lot of different companies, writing copy, working as a kind of adjunct to marketing agencies and things like that, seeing if I liked it, and I did. So I applied for a job at my current company, Miles IT, and started writing copy for about 3 months. After that time, position opened for a product division that they had that hadn't been launched yet, now it's called Striven. It wasn't called that back then, but I took that position, and my original title was marketing manager. We had nothing yet, right? No real marketing collateral, no full sense of who our target was. The product itself is an ERP. We had built it to run our own business, and that was the original intent, and it still does run our own business. But we had this inflection point of, well, this product is mature and other businesses can benefit from it. So where do we go from here, and how do we go about bringing this product to market? So that was my first challenge, and that was about 4 years ago at this point. So that kind of grown in the marketing realm. At first, for the first year, I was doing pretty much everything by myself, with a little bit of help. And I started hiring people as we started to grow. And we had, I think, one salesperson when we started, and then we built up to 3 and then 5. And now, as it stands, we have, I think, about 10 salespeople, and about 5 people on the marketing team, and a partnership program as well that I oversee. So it's been 4 years of pretty steady and really interesting growth, both in my own career and in the product itself.
So the journey sounds sort of epic and legendary, right? It's I'm sure that the teaching informs kind of what you're doing and how you're managing. But one of the things that's really, I think, interesting out of the gate is the kind of green field that you had to work with when it came to figuring out your place in the market. So how did you, I'm interested in the early days of those conversations where, you try and get out there and maybe it was, not as successful the first couple times. What were the learnings? What was that like?
So understanding our how we put money into things, I think, is important. We're a privately held company, so we don't have external stakeholders. We don't raise rounds of funding like a lot of other like a lot of our competitors. Not all of them, but some of them. And I think that's pretty typical in tech. You have a new product, let's throw just a bunch of money into it, hire a ton of people, just throw everything at the wall, see what sticks, and then cut back from there. Ours is really different. It was a really organic process, I'd say. So my first challenge was understanding where to spend money and where not to spend money. When you look into sponsorships, you look into paid advertising, you look into things like Google and paid search, you look at other kind of companies like Gartner who have pay per lead programs. How much do you put into that, and when, right? Because we had a product that had a very small user base at the time. So we had the ability to create some case studies, just a few bona fides, right? But we really had to build that stuff up first. So I'd say a lot of it was learning to ignore a lot of the quote unquote opportunities that came my way, because there are a million people out there who want you to pay $10,000 to sponsor their sponsor a banner on their website, or to participate in market research that maybe people are going to read and maybe they're not. And at first, when you're starting, everything seems like an opportunity, and it is. It's just that is it worthwhile? So I think I took a very progressive and very discretionary approach to where we were going to spend money, while on the back end really trying to build up our assets, to be a product that people didn't just use in theory, but that people actually used. Obviously our own company was a great case study, because we did have great success, both in terms of in time saving and in ROI and all of that stuff. But we had to really go beyond that and draw on the success of our kind of early adopters, and that was something that I really did while trying to build up our social media profiles, just create awareness. Right, it can cost a lot of money to create awareness, but you can also, if you find the right groups to align yourself with, you can create awareness without necessarily having to spend a lot. But it takes time, and you have to be willing to understand that with kind of lower growth social, with SEO, with all of that stuff, you're not going to see those results right away. And I had to properly set the expectations for my team that if my budget is small, here's what I think I can do with that budget. If you're talking about something like Google advertising, you're gonna, if you're working with a small budget, you're going to see a small return on a small budget. So you're going to play kind of hand-to-hand combat with your original leads that come in. And really, early days, we were just trying to prove the product and make sure that we go, wow, someone's interested in this. That's cool. That doesn't mean it's the right fit. How do we know whether it's the right fit? How do we go about that? So in terms of kind of marketing and how we spread our awareness, that was one consideration. The second was very much the fit in trying to understand who is this product for, and maybe more importantly, who is this product not for.
So that leads me to like a really, I think, probably a rich conversation that I'd like to get some insight from you on, and that is the understanding that you're coming from a dog fooded essentially solution where you built this for your business, or the business built it for themselves. Now you're trying to go to market with that. How often did you find that the messaging alignment that you guys were using internally about the product versus how you approached the market was out of sync? And what did you do to kind of reconcile that? Right. Very often, and at least in my experience, I can say, well, I think that our solution is great for X, Y, and Z. Well, when you do your market research, or you go out and you start doing any meaningful, discovery, they go, no, your value is in, A, B, and C. How do you reconcile those disconnects? And that has to inform the product dev team at some point as well, right?
It does. I think one of the things that I've done well is always kept one foot inside of the product and its use within our company, and one foot outside. I think a lot of people, on not only in early days, especially on the dev team and within the division itself, we're very much 2 feet in and seeing it from the perspective of our company and seeing the evolution. I mean, when I got there 4 years ago, we'd already been 5 years into the development of this product, and the focus had always been on our company. So when I came in, I started looking outside, and looking at the market and looking at, less like, well, what is the reflection of this product now for our company, and how can that translate outside of our company? And more toward, well, what can this be based on what it is now, and how can it fit into the market? So I'll give you an example. I mean, we are a service-based company, so we're an MSP, full service, B2B technology company. So we do not just managed services, but we do custom software. We have web and marketing services. We can act as a one-stop shop for businesses who are looking to improve their technology resources, who are looking to grow, who are looking for responsive, great service. I mean, it's something that we do really well. So we can. And at the same time, we have employees who are going out in the field. We have that kind of professional component, but we also have the field service component where we've got people, on their phones who need to do work and need to, close out or update a ticket or something like that. So we knew that we were a really great project-based and service-based ERP that has resonance in the market for sure. But what you learn really quickly when you look at industries and when you look at verticals is that no two businesses within the same industry or vertical do things the same way. And so, the way we run as an IT company is different than the next IT company down the street. And that's because of our size. It's because of our age, as a company for, almost 27 years, and how we've built our own processes. There's so many factors, it's because of our leadership philosophy and our company policies and our belief system. There's just so many things that make us different, that make every company different and unique. So you have to, when you're looking at the marketplace, you analyze what the needs of the marketplace are, where they are now, where you think they're going, and you have to influence development. You have to influence. You have to get everybody on the same page, and I think that is very much the marketer's job to say, this is what we should be. These are our needs. These are our opportunities. We are remain focused on the use of this product for our own company, but if we want to grow and if we want to have more customers coming on and make people happy, then we also have to pay attention to what's happening outside there. And that was certainly a challenge, because it represents a complete mentality shift, especially from, our product owner, who's the CEO of our company and has, I think, great vision for what he wants the product to be, but also cares very much about how our own, the health of our own company within the product. It's a challenge, and honestly, aside from all that, it's what I think keeps us honest. I mean, as users of this product, it needs to be excellent. I mean, it needs to be excellent to not just run our business, but to be able to reflect the capability for other people to run their business on it. And that is the promise of the thing. But it really, you have to do that balance. But then you also have to make sure that there's enough alignment as well. It's challenging for sure.
Right. I mean, and playing the bridge there, it's interesting, right? Because there's two bridges in the product space, right? There's the bridge to your current customers and the bridge to your potential customers, right? And so you represent essentially the future of the product, and the current customers represent, the lifetime value and that kind of stuff. So it's a really interesting kind of place where you have to sit to kind of manage all of that stuff. As you've done that, I think one of the things that would be really useful for our listeners is to help understand essentially what makes the product that you're selling hard to market. Like, what is the thing that really is the challenge in your marketing sort of process for what you're doing?
Great question. For us, it's the size, and it's the fact that we are at heart an industry agnostic product. So, you know, in which direction do you go? That starts in development. If you serve, manufacturing and supply chain, but you also service, let's say, like field industry, people who do service and repairs, things like that, and you also service your kind of professional services, CPA firms, consulting groups, nonprofits, government agencies, things like that. I mean, I'm describing like almost every business there is. And so, which direction do you develop the product in? And then, how do you market? How do you spend your resources going after those verticals? I mean, there are days that I wake up and I look at, your lawn care software, and I'm like, wow, sometimes I just really wish that we did that and we did one thing and I knew everything there is to know about how to, properly serve the lawn care industry. And that's all I did all day, is to just make this an absolute best in class product. So the challenge is balancing the verticals and making sure that we can serve those verticals well, and help those businesses fulfill what their goals are, which are, growth, in terms of revenue, growing their customer base, efficiency, cutting down costs in terms of, time wasted on processes, getting that like single version of the truth that an ERP can actually deliver on. So, making sure that message and the functionality and the product side resonates with the different industries that we play in. That's really hard, So it comes from a marketing standpoint. Well, if we're doing blogs on our website, who are those blogs for? Well, are we writing about specific industries? Are we keeping things more kind of like higher level? And I think, this is what I've learned. One is that despite everything I just said about a landscaping software, for example, we have those businesses coming to us and they say, well, we use the top product in the market for landscaping software, and it doesn't fulfill our needs because it does one thing or a couple things really well. But again, they've developed these unique processes that take them outside the bounds of what the kind of software that they're on right now. I need something to help me grow, which is another way of saying I need a kind of customized solution. And that's where we come in, because we're able, based on the size and versatility of our product, we're able to customize things for people to help them realize the kind of process that they want, that's in their head, but that doesn't exist in the kind of more traditional industry software that they're in. So we have actually a great opportunity in doing that. And the second thing then is that, I think functionality is sometimes more important than industry. I mean, you have to show that you can serve an industry. And what I mean by that is you can't just show it on your website. You can't just say it. You have to have customers that have had proven success in your industry. And you have to show that you have the ability to be a game changer. In our case, it's about customization. It's about opportunity for growth and scale and things like that. But if you can do that, then, I mean, you can win in a lot of different places. And that's So that's what makes it hard to market is just the scope and the range of what we're able to do. And again, it's a great benefit. It's a great gift to have this product that can do so much, but it becomes a great challenge then to understand which direction to look in, how high level to keep your content marketing, how specific to go and when you need to go specific, and making decisions about that is constantly shifting based on where interest is and what's happening with our product roadmap and all of that stuff. So maybe that was too vague. I don't know, but that is the challenge.
It tracks, right? It tracks to the product. So when it comes to like that kind of the product has got such a broad range. Um, how are you then also, I mean, I guess that makes it much more complicated to identify the layers of your funnel and where somebody is in that conversation, where they are in that buying decision making process. So maybe it'll help our listeners. How long is your typical acquisition cycle from
It's
initial
yeah,
contact to deal?
it's about on average, I'd say like 3 to 6 months, and with everything in between. I mean, it's rare that we're going to speak to a prospect and we're going to close them within a week because of what we're talking about now. The range of the product kind of filters into how many people use the product, how many different divisions, right? An ERP is meant to be used by a lot of different divisions because all of that data gets housed in one place. So you've got, your accounting team using it, your sales team using it, your projects team using it, your HR people using it. I mean, all of that is possible within our product. So you think about what that looks like in a buying conversation. Who the first point of contact may be CFO, it may be the office manager, it may be the business owner, it may be none of those people. And ultimately, to use our product well and to understand it well, you need buy-in from all of the different stakeholders within a business. Sometimes not all, but often many. And with some businesses we deal with, we're talking about boards as well. We've got an owner on board, but they need to present it to their board first and make sure that that's going to pass, and they're going to understand. We deal with nonprofits, with educational institutions sometimes, and then it becomes even more complicated because it's they're dealing with funding resources and how they get allocated. So all of those things can delay a buying process. And we just go through, our business analysts go through so many different rounds of conversation and demos, and you're demoing it to one group of people and then you're demoing it to a different group and you're answering completely different questions.
Yeah.
And so it can really extend the cycle. And then just from people coming into us, like you suggested, sometimes we have people in different stages. I'm considering an ERP. Well, again, that's not something I'm going to buy tomorrow. And we'll get people who will submit RFPs to us and say, we're looking at 2 years from now, but here's the 2,000 question RFP. If you guys could just fill this out and get it back to us, then we'll see if you make the first of 10 rounds. It's that kind of thing. But then we have some great lead sources where we have a lot of the feedback I've been given as a sales director and the marketing director is that a lot of people who come to us are ready to buy. They're serious about change because this is the way some businesses work. They needed it yesterday. One factor may be that the current software they're on is being sunset, and they maybe waited a little bit too long. And now it's like, wow, we really need to get on something new. Sometimes it's that their current software has just, done a major price increase for the third time this year, and they feel that they're not able to operate on that software for what the functionality is. And sometimes it's I'm fed up with the support I get
Yeah,
at my current, with my current software. And I just, again, I needed to make a change yesterday. So they come to us, and if we can do, a fit quickly enough, efficiently enough, I mean, they're ready to go. And so, with only, I'd say, about 3 years on the market in earnest, we've been able to grow pretty steadily because of how responsive we are. There's two elements in that dance, right? One is the prospect and what their buying cycle is, but the second factor there is your internal team. How quickly can you move? How efficiently can you move someone from a consideration stage to a, wow, I'm super excited about your product? And that requires some real professionalism on our end. And just, I guess, what goes beyond professionalism is just care. You have to care. You have to want people to succeed with your product, and you have to believe that they can, because they don't believe that they can until you show it to them, and then they will. And that's what I think has helped us. It's what's helped us close, at least narrow the kind of timeline in what could be just an extremely long buying cycle.
yeah, absolutely. Well, Scott, as we start to wrap up here today, I want to ask you some important questions. Very first, who should be reaching out to you, and how should they get a hold of you? Who's a good fit for the kind of folks you want to talk to, channel partners, that kind of stuff?
Yeah, I mean, we have kind of two types of partnerships. One is a reseller partnership, and that's something that we're very excited to build out. So, a lot of technology consultants, CPA firms, IT companies, people in the position to recommend ERPs, accounting software, and things like that should definitely get in touch, because we're always working with them, and we have great relationships with those partners we we offer revenue share and things like that from subscriptions. It's really competitive compared to a lot of our competitors who offer these kinds of partner programs. And the second type of program that we offer is basically, it's an integration partnership. So there are lots of products out there that integrate with ERPs. They do industry specialized things, like whether it's like production scheduling or takeoff in construction or estimating, things like that. We are always interested in building out our ecosystem. And anyone can get in touch with me. As just my email is shammer, like the tool, HAMMER, at Striven. And I love to hear from people who are interested in working with us and building out a kind of shared ecosystem.
Awesome. And then the last question of the day is, in your travels, I'm sure you've picked up some major lessons in the marketing space. What are the top three things that come to mind in your journey that you can share with our listeners?
Number one, don't chase shiny objects. There are a lot of shiny objects out there, and it's wise to consider. If something seems like a good idea, and if you're a passionate and excited person, everything's going to seem like a good idea at first. Wait 2 weeks before bringing it to anyone else, especially your leadership. And if it seems like a good idea after 2 weeks, then go ahead and bring it. But wait that amount of time, because you don't want to die on a hill that you don't really believe in, but seemed exciting at the time. So that's number one. Number two, pay attention to data and numbers, but know how to analyze. I mean, it's from a just a revenue standpoint, being able to look at what's coming in and what the sources are, and funneling that down to your marketing. Where are your sales coming from? It's all about alignment, and to see that stuff, and you'll uncover some opportunities there. But at the same time, just be very, don't produce data for data's sake, because outside of context, it really means absolutely nothing. But it can mean everything if you know what you're looking at, and you know how to look at it. I think number three is just continue to do what you're passionate about and make sure that your passions align with not only the product or service that you're working on, but with the company that you're in. Make sure that you're happy, and that you're waking up and saying, yeah, I want to do this. I'm excited about this, because I think if you're not, there's always something else out there. But I've been very fortunate in being able to do something that, that has supported my career growth, but that's allowed me to kind of give that back and help grow a product pretty significantly. So it's been great. But that's what I got. Those are my top 3.
Thank you, Scott, so much for your time today. I really appreciate your participation on the show. I can't wait to get this episode out and in front of the folks. So again, if you have questions for Scott, please reach out by email. And Scott, I definitely want to hear in the next couple of months what you've learned, additional lessons that come up along the way.
Good. Yeah. Thank you so much, Brian. It's been a great conversation.
Thanks for listening to this episode of The Consulting Trap. If you have suggestions for future episodes or would like to be a guest on our show, please send me an email at brian@podcastchef.com. That's BRIAN at podcastchef.com. Before we go, we'd like to thank the sponsor of our show, Podcast Chef. Podcast Chef helps turn ordinary podcasting into a revenue-generating lead magnet for your consulting business. Our Podcasting Done For You service takes away the headache of starting up and running your own podcast. Reach out now to take advantage of our 30-day money-back guarantee. Visit us at podcastchef.com to find out how our team of experts can help you leverage podcasting to take your business to the next level.